What's the funniest thing a kid has ever said to you? I never expected it to happen at my grandmother's funeral, of all places. My sister brought her 4-year-old son who'd spent the entire week practicing quiet behavior for this solemn occasion. The funeral home was packed. Grandma was dearly loved in our small town. Everyone wore black, spoke in hushed tones, and kept glancing at my nephew, clearly nervous about having a preschooler at a funeral. My sister was constantly whispering reminders to him. Remember, soft voice, it's time to be quiet. My nephew was doing amazingly well. He sat perfectly still during the service, hands folded in his lap, occasionally nodding solemnly like he saw the adults doing. I was impressed and caught my sister's eye across the room, giving her a thumbs up. She looked relieved. After the service, we lined up to view Grandma in the casket one last time. The funeral director had done a great job. Grandma looked peaceful, wearing her favorite blue dress and a pearl necklace. Her hands held a small Bible. When it was our turn, my sister lifted my nephew so he could see. The entire room went silent, everyone holding their breath to see how the kid would react to his first encounter with death. He stared at Grandma for a long, thoughtful moment. Then, in the absolute silence of the funeral home, he turned to my sister and asked, in what he clearly thought was a whisper but was actually loud enough for everyone to hear, "Mommy, if Grandma's sleeping, why did they put her in a box with a pillow instead of a blanket? Won't she get cold?" A few people gasped. My uncle let out a muffled cough that was definitely covering a laugh. But my nephew wasn't done. He leaned closer to the casket, squinted, and declared, "And they put her glasses on, but her eyes are closed. How's she gonna watch TV in heaven?" My sister turned bright red and whispered something to him, but he shook his head firmly. "No, Mommy. Grandma needs her glasses. Remember when she couldn't find them and called us blurry people all day?" At that point, my aunt started crying. But it wasn't sad crying. Her shoulders were shaking with suppressed laughter. Then, my nephew reached into the pocket of his little suit and pulled out a half-eaten chocolate cookie wrapped in a napkin. Before anyone could stop him, he carefully placed it in the casket, right next to Grandma's hand. "It's for when she gets hungry," he explained to the funeral director, who looked completely stunned. "Grandma always gets hungry at nap time." The dam broke. My uncle burst into laughter, then my cousins, and soon the entire funeral home erupted in a mix of laughs and tears. Even the funeral director was wiping his eyes. When we finally pulled ourselves together, the funeral director left the cookie exactly where my nephew had placed it. At the burial, several relatives also tucked candies and small snacks into the casket. Now, whenever we remember Grandma, we also remember how my nephew sent her off with a midnight snack and turned our saddest day into something unexpectedly funny.